So I'll kick it off with important legal disclosures. So the material presented today is for educational purposes only and not intended to provide legal, tax, or investment advice. All investments are subject to risk. We recommend that you consult an independent legal or financial advisor for specific advice about your individual situation. The tax information herein is not intended to be used and cannot be used for any taxpayer for the purposes of avoiding tax penalties. Neither Voya nor its affiliated companies or representatives provide tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax and legal advisors regarding your individual situation. Here's some more important disclosures. I'll let you read that. And then is there, Sarah, I'm on PowerPoint Live. Is there a way to not have like the notes in
We
there?
can't see the notes on our side. All we're
Okay.
seeing is your slide, so you're good to go.
I wasn't sure. Thank you.
Yep.
Well, hello again, everyone. My name is Nick Romero. I'm a financial advisor with Voya and an enrollment specialist for your Hennepin County 457B deferred compensation plan, along with my colleague Dana Stein, who I will turn over the presentation to in a little bit. Our contact information is here listed. It's also available on the bridge. And if you do wanted to set up a time directly, you can click that link, and that gets you to TimeTap, which is our online scheduling tool. When you click on there, if for some reason you don't find a time that fits in a schedule between Dana or I, you're definitely welcome to reach out and set up time for a one-on-one meeting. So as Sarah mentioned, the Hennepin County Deferred Compensation Plan is a voluntary employee benefit that is a supplement to your retirement savings through the convenience of payroll deduct. Whether you're new to savings or an experienced investor, the 457B plan is here to help you realize your retirement goals. And again, the steps you take today can impact your future. So here's a question for you is how long do you expect to be retired? And usually when someone gets to retirement, I say that, kind of in jest, but looking at the statistics, today's 65-year-old male has a 55% chance of living to age 85. And conversely, a 65-year-old female has a 65% chance of living past 85. And so it's tough to estimate how long you'll be alive, but the fact is most people will underestimate how long they'll be around and how much they'll need financially to sustain themselves during those years. In retirement, there may be some expenses that go down, taxes, mortgage payments, your family expenses, kids leave the house, your household costs could go down, your employment expenses could go down. You're not going to be contributing to retirement. You're not going to have union dues and things like that. However, in retirement, there are some expenses that may go up. Healthcare is a big concern for many people in retirement. There may be the potential of needing some sort of long-term care or assisted living, which carries a hefty cost to it. Sometimes people like to travel when they retire. You may have responsibility to support adult children or parents. You may want to pay for a wedding for a child potentially, and people are living longer. Although not listed on this screen, I can say from my own experiences that when people retire, they do like to remodel their kitchen. Seems to happen pretty often. So today we have this tool called My Orange Money. This orange dollar represents the potential sources of income you'll have in retirement. As a Hennepin County employee, you will have a pension. You may have Social Security benefits. Those two are building blocks in your future retirement goals. Another source of potential income in retirement is going to be the money that you saved. That could be through your 457B deferred compensation plan. And the white space is going to be that gap between your current retirement savings and the money you'll need in retirement. As I mentioned on Voya.com, there's a My Orange Money tool. This is where you can plug in your pension. You don't need to be enrolled in the plan to do this, but you can plug in your pension amount. It will calculate your Social Security based on your current income and your age. You can plug in other retirement accounts that you have accumulated over the years, and then that will allow you to kind of utilize that tool to figure out how are you looking in retirement and what can you do today to change that. So why start saving for retirement now? On a journey to retirement, do something good for yourself by planning ahead. You want to consider enrolling in the 457B plan to save for retirement that you can look forward to. A few highlights of the plan is you get to determine how much you invest. We've got about 40 different choices of investments, so we can work together and discuss how, based on your risk tolerance, based on your time frame, what's a good investment choice for you. You may possibly be able to lower your taxable income, and it's super easy through payroll deduct. And so they say that starting early in your career can be as important as what you invest in, but also it's never too late to start. All right. So within this plan, you're going to have two different options. You're going to have pre-tax and Roth. These are both 457B. Some people may have heard of a Roth IRA and are actively contributing to that. This does not, a 457B in the Roth dollars does not impact your Roth IRA dollars. And so sometimes people have questions about that. So we can just kind of clarify that for you. In the traditional 457B, contributions go in pre-tax. Earnings are tax deferred, and then you're taxed when you pull those dollars out. In a Roth 457B option, the money goes in after you've already paid your income taxes on that. Earnings grow tax-free, and then when you take money out under certain stipulations, you don't pay any taxes on that. And those stipulations are the money has to have been in there for 5 years, age 59 and a half or older, and then separated service from Hennepin County. Okay, contribution limits for 2025 are 23,500 or 100% of your compensation. These numbers do change, and we certainly don't expect everyone to contribute this amount right away, but it could be a goal to work toward at some point in your career. There is a special catch-up provision, so people that are generally nearing the end of their working career and they're looking to maximize their contributions to their deferred compensation plan, there's a special catch-up provision that allows for the year 2025 up to $47,000. And then for people over the age of 50, the contribution limit is $31,000 of your limit. And then I can hand it over to Dana when you're ready. If you're ready, Dana.
Okay, yeah, I'll take it from here. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Can you hear me, Nick?
Yes.
Yeah, we can. You're good.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. You only want to go through not undoing the mute button one time in a presentation. So consider a traditional pre-tax 457B plan if you, one, enjoy the benefits of your current tax deferral. Two, you need to take home as much of your pay as possible. Or three, you expect to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement. That's something to keep in mind. A lot of people think that they will be in a lower tax bracket in retirement, but you have to take into, account that you'll have your Social Security benefits and your PARA. So you'll want to see how those come out. And then if you add your deferred compensation onto that, you may be, even at or above what you were bringing home when you were working. We certainly, especially a lot of people who save for with a deferred compensation account end up, many times making more in retirement than even when they were working. So something to keep in mind there. And also with both of the pre-tax and the Roth, we would just want to say the disclosure, please seek the advice of a tax attorney or tax advisor prior to making a tax-related insurance or investment decision. And you'll hear Nick and I say those things a lot if you talk to us, just because we are not tax professionals. So we just want to point that out. But why would you consider the Roth or the after-tax version? If you like the idea of possible tax-free retirement income, if you're confident that you may have salary increases over time, and you can afford a reduction in take-home pay just because taxes are taken out of the after-tax before it goes into your deferred compensation account. So, Nick and I would encourage you, number one, it's important just to save for your retirement. Like I said, you have Social Security, you have your PARA. It's nice to have a third bucket of money to help, get you up to what you were living on when you were working in retirement. So whether you enroll with the state plan, Fidelity, or us, I think it's really important. But if you're interested in enrolling with Voya, this is how you would do it. You would go to enroll.voya.com. You would enter the plan number, which in this case is 664372, and you'd enter the verification code, which is 118088. We can get that to you as well. If you don't want to write any of that down now, and then you click Let's Go and you follow the prompts. Once you finish the enrollment process, you go on to Apex and put in your dollar amount on there. It's under the benefits tile. So, if you need help with the Apex portion, Nick and I can walk you through that. Sarah can as well. So what kind of an investor are you? This is kind of a tough question. And I think one that a lot of people have been thinking about even more so with what the market's been doing lately. Everyone has a different approach to investing. That's why the Hennepin County 457B Deferred Compensation Plan has a range of options to fit your level of experience, knowledge, and interest. You have a choice of investment options. You can choose to invest in a mix of the options available, different mutual funds. You can change how your investment elections are allocated. So that would be future money coming in. You could also change how the balance of your account is allocated, which would be current money in your account. You can do those the same. You can do those different. We have a lot of different investment options available. Like I said, mutual funds ranging from things that are very conservative and safe to more aggressive and international investments. We also have target date funds, which rule of thumb would be you kind of choose the date you'd be retiring at, which would start you off, typically on the more aggressive side if you have a ways to go before retirement. And then as you get closer to that retirement date, it moves you more and more conservative. So that's kind of an interesting option for a lot of people. We also have risk tolerance based portfolios that are pre-made portfolios based on how much risk you want to be taking. So we have conservative, moderately conservative, moderately aggressive, and aggressive. So that's an interesting thing to think about as well. And Nick and I are always available to talk to you about your risk tolerance and kind of ask you some questions to help you figure out. When you do the enrollment process to enroll in deferred compensation, there'll be some prompts to help you figure it out as well. Nick and I are also available if you're enrolling in Voya's plan to go through the enrollment process with you. So you're enrolling on your computer and we can walk you through it. So if you are part of Voya's plan and you want to access your account online, you'd go to Voya Retirement Plans with an S.com. If you're logging on for the first time, you would select register now. Then you can either put in your social and your date of birth or your social and your PIN. If you don't have a PIN, you can call Voya customer service. They'll provide you with one. Then you can see everything you want about your Voya account. You can see your balance. You can see your performance year to date, your funds, how your funds are performing. So it's a really nice, convenient way to keep up with your account. You can also change beneficiaries on there, change your address, reallocate your funds. So it's pretty nice, and I'd say pretty user friendly. A lot of you have had jobs prior to working at Hennepin County, which means you might have previous retirement accounts from those other jobs. Voya's account consolidation team or Nick and myself can talk with you about your options for your old retirement accounts. Taking into account your personal situation, you may want to consider your options such as 1, keeping your assets where they are with your previous plan, 2, withdrawing your assets, knowing that there may be tax consequences, or 3, rolling your assets over to an employer-sponsored plan that would be able to accept those rollovers. So like I said, our account consolidation team or Nick and myself can talk to you about those options. Sometimes it's a great idea. Sometimes, it might not be a great idea. So we're here to help with that. There's also a lot of digital resources available. Like Nick was talking about, the My Orange Money, which is the top left. A great way, there's 5 questions. These are all available on Voya.com. So for anyone, whether you're enrolled in the plan or not, you can use a lot of these resources. Like I said, My Orange Money asks 5 questions: your age, how much you make, what you're saving monthly for retirement. Do you have any other buckets of retirement money like IRAs or Roth IRAs? Do you have any future monthly income like a para? And then it puts it all into a picture, shows you if you're on track for retirement. And then there's lots of toggles that you can move back and forth. What if I retire at 67 instead of 65? What if I contribute $150 a month or per paycheck instead of $100 per paycheck? And you can just see how different things play out. There's also a Voya Retire mobile app, as well as a lot of other interesting things. One thing that I find really helpful and really beneficial to people on Voya's website, it's called the Voya Retire Better blog. And it just has interesting articles that are very timely, like just looking at some that are up now. There's one called Tariff Gambit, Voya's thoughts on weathering the volatility of the market. Fear stock market roller coaster, here's a recession reserve, can ease your mind. What tariff shockwaves mean for your portfolio. Read about what's happening and potential implications. 23 ways people can save money daily. So just I think are very interesting resources and good articles. They're short and they're easy to understand. So where do you go from here? Now here is how you can take action towards your future retirement that you envision for yourself. First, consider enrolling in the plan and start saving for your future. Like I said, whether that's the state plan, Fidelity, or Voya's plan, I just think the number one thing is making sure that you're saving money for your future retirement. Second, schedule an appointment with myself or Nick. And we are dedicated to Hennepin County's 457 deferred compensation plan. So all Nick and I do is work on Hennepin County's deferred compensation plan. That's our job. And so we're here to help. A few points I do want to touch on based on recent market developments. When the stock market gets you down, pick yourself back up by devising strategies to help achieve your objectives. Start by remembering that rash reactions to losses could lead to decisions that are later regretted. A few important things to remember are: 1, avoid timing the market. 2, it's important to define and continue reevaluating your long-term investment objectives. 3, consider asset allocation and or investing through dollar cost averaging. So essentially putting in the same dollar amount every paycheck, whether the market's down or the market's up. And number 4, determine your true risk tolerance. This is something that I feel is really important. So a lot of people who got very confident in how the market was doing over the past few years got very aggressive. And then when things took a turn, they realized, being that aggressive wasn't what their actual risk tolerance was. So, Nick and my goal for you is to figure out how you feel risk-wise. So no matter what the market's doing, you're going to feel like a confident investor. So if the market's down, your portfolio is set up. So you may still take a hit because the market's down, but it's not going to take a deep dive. But when the market's doing well, you'll still, hopefully get the gains because you're setting yourself up for success. So with that being said, here's Nick and my contact information again. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. I saw Sarah posted, Nick and I are at the 625 building every other Tuesday from 9 until noon. We're also happy to come out to your work sites anytime to talk with you. We do Teams meetings, phone calls. So please never hesitate to send us an email, give us a call, reach out. We're always here to help. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Nick and Dana. Hey, super quick, since the scheduling information is up there, the last question we have in chat is if they do schedule an appointment, what information should they bring to that appointment?
Nick, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. I guess it depends on the goal of the appointment. If it's to set up a new account, we don't need anything. We can just do that with our laptop. If they're looking to consolidate an account, if they can bring a statement from the most recent statement from the previous employer's plan, or if it's an IRA, just bring that statement or at least access to it on a computer or a laptop.
Great. Another question, we'll just cover a couple here. So on this slide in particular, it talks about being licensed in Minnesota. There's a question earlier about if you two are fiduciaries. Can you talk just a little bit about kind of what the license covers and what your role is in terms of that?
Sure. So Hennepin County is the fiduciary of the plan. But Nick and I are investment advisor representatives, so we're here to help you with your plans. We're here to help educate you and work with you on your deferred compensation plans. We also have contacts, so if you want to do financial planning or looking to do, some type of individual investment like an IRA or a Roth IRA or something like that, we can hook you up with colleagues you can speak to and see if, that would be a good fit for you. If you're a Hennepin County employee, even if you live in Wisconsin, we can work with you.
Perfect. Dana, you mentioned you're every other Tuesday for office
Yes.
hours. Are you there? Which Tuesdays are you there?
This coming Tuesday would be the day we're there.
Okay.
I'm just trying to pull up my calendar to see what day that is.
It aligns with new hire orientation.
It aligns with new employee orientation. Thank you. So April 2nd, I'm sorry, May 6th is the next date.
Yes.
I'm just putting that in chat first. Someone asked how they get in touch with you. For those office hours, it's 9 to noon, right, Dana?
Yep, that's correct.
And they can just swing by. They don't need an appointment for office hours.
Nope, we're just available. We're in the Glasston area on Skyway level. You'll see us. Yeah.
So in the 625 building, for those of you who haven't been in there, it's just they have a nice atrium on the Skyway level, and there is a Glasston section outside of the badged area. And Dana just texts, Dana and Nick will just share an office space there. So it's a nice little working area. It makes it really easy for you to drop in and out. A couple things that I just wanted to touch on, and then we've got some more questions, but just when you think about deferred compensation and you think about your retirement income, right? What are my sources of income? And Nick touched on this earlier in the presentation. We will have our para, you'll have some Social Security, you'll have other savings, right? But the deferred compensation piece is such an important part of that income, right? And a lot of those, the pensions, Social Security, those are often income streams that you get on a regular basis. One of the nice things when you're a younger retiree is that the deferred compensation can be accessed in different amounts. You don't have to pull it out all at one time. You don't have to pull the same amount month to month. You'll set it up based on what your needs are. But if you do want to do that kitchen remodel, that money is tucked away for some of those. But a couple other things. There's maximums that you can contribute, but you can start with a really low value too. If you just kind of want to get an account open, start making those steps towards savings, you can start with $20 a paycheck. It doesn't have to be a large amount, and you would be surprised at how that amount grows over time. The one thing I will say is when we set up our contributions here at Hennepin County, we set it up as a dollar value. So you're going to put in $20 a paycheck or $200 a paycheck, whatever works for your budget. That amount does not increase year over year. So when you get your annual increases, your GSAs, just something to keep in mind that you might want to just give your deferred compensation contribution a GSA as well, so that you're constantly making progress towards those savings goals that you have. The other thing I want to touch on is that your contributions you're signing up for this is not tied to open enrollment. This is what I refer to as an anytime benefit. So you can change your contributions at any time. You don't have to wait until November to make those adjustments. So that's something that just keep in mind. You can enroll now, and if your budget changes throughout the year, you can make some adjustments to your contributions as needed. You'll even see some communications come out in advance of like the PTO cash out. Oftentimes, we will just remind people, hey, don't forget you have this deferred compensation. If you want to take advantage of some deferred compensation pre-tax savings opportunities with that larger PTO cash out, this is a great time to make adjustments so you could take that cash out and tuck it away into this retirement account for you. So there's some flexibility within this plan also that you don't see in some of our other benefit programs. So one question I had, Dana and Nick, is withdrawals. Can you talk, are withdrawals allowed? The money's in there, when can you access it? And then I have a follow-up after that.
Sure, I can address that. So for withdrawals, is the general rule is separation from service from Hennepin County. So if it's pre-tax money, you can be any age. And then if it's Roth money, it's 59 and a half. And the money has to have opened the account for 5 years prior.
Okay. So for pre-tax, you do I'm sorry.
And I'll say there's a financial hardship clause in there that just follows the IRS guidelines as far as what is a financial hardship. And so if there was some sort of financial hardship, you could take money out without penalty from the pre-tax.
Actively working here at the county, you can't access the money unless you have an eligible financial hardship.
Correct.
Once I'm no longer working for the county, my pre-tax funds, I can withdraw them.
Yes.
But my Roth funds, they would have to at least have been in the account for 5 years.
5 years and 59 and a half or older.
Okay. All right. That's super good information. Let me just pop up to the top of the chat here and see what questions we missed. There was a question about how do I know if I have a 557? So you can always take a check. If you can't remember if you've opened an account here, take a look at your paycheck and see if you're having any deductions taken out. That's a good indicator. But you wouldn't be automatically enrolled. So you would have had to take steps to open an account with one of the vendors and then set your contributions in Apex. So again, you can also pop into Apex and just check and see if you've signed up for deferred compensation. There's a question, do you suggest starting planned withdrawal from a 457B as soon as possible to minimize taxes?
I think that'd be a good question, number one, for your tax professional, just because we can't advise on any taxes. And I think it's really a situation to situation thing, just because, you may need the money. Let's say, you retire at 62 and you don't want to take your Social Security benefits until 67 or 70. It may help bridge the gap to get you there. So that may be a strategy you want to take. And I think it's just looking at your whole situation.
Yeah. Yeah. So Brad Clinton, I think you have a question in chat, but we're not on that slide anymore. So I'm not sure which one it's referencing to. Your question, is that all three for a Roth or one?
No,
If you
it's
just want
okay.
to, go
So,
ahead.
he had said you can pull a Roth out when you were 59 and a half. It's been in there 5 years. And one other condition. I was curious if all conditions need to be met, or you just, let's say I retire at 60, I've contributed for 4 years. Could I still pull it out, or do I have to wait a year?
Wait a year.
You could touch it, but you would have a tax penalty for taking it out. So it's not really worth it.
Okay. Yep, that's perfect. I appreciate that because I was unsure of a Roth, and that is very helpful information.
Yeah. Along those same lines, I think there was a question down lower about when do you pay taxes? So if you are in a pre-tax, when does that tax, when do you end up paying those taxes?
Taxes
Sure,
are paid. Go ahead, Dana. Go ahead, Dana.
When you do the withdrawal, 20% is automatically withheld for federal tax. You can decide at that time if you'd like state tax withheld, and if so, what dollar amount or percent. Then you'll get a 1099 at tax time. And if you've overpaid or underpaid, that will be figured out at taxes. So if you overpaid, you'd get money back. If you underpaid, you'd owe a little bit of money at tax time.
Great. Okay. Okay, I think I'm just scrolling through the chat here. We talked about that. Yeah, so there was a question, and again, I think Dana, you kind of addressed this with the market being down. Is this a good time to increase the amount of your contributions? I think part of that is a tax advisor question, right? But go ahead, how would you respond?
It's a good day to
Do you want to
buy.
answer that one?
Yeah, today's a good day to buy. Tomorrow's a good day to buy. So again, I mean, based on basically what Dana said is if your situation allows it and it aligns with your overall strategy, that's a good time to invest. I wouldn't invest more or less based on what the market did. And that's, again, back to conversations that we have with people, is we get to be kind of a third party, unbiased, and just provide factual information, not emotional data. Like, I say that in jest that, today's a good day to buy. I would say that about, every day. Because we're talking about, in most situations, we're talking long-term as far as, retirement might not be tomorrow, retirement might be in 20 or 30 years. And so just continue to dollar cost average and put money in on a, bi-week or semi-weekly, bi-monthly. I always get confused as to which is which, right?
Right.
But every 2 weeks, put money in.
Yeah, that makes sense. So here's another question. I started with deferred comp before tax, so pre-tax, but switched to an after-tax deduction. I was thinking I would be in a higher tax bracket. I started deferred comp 25 years ago. Does it matter what tax bracket you were in or what you will be in?
It matters what you will be in when you take the money out. I think if that's what you're asking. So when you take the money out, let's say of your pre-tax, it will be what tax bracket you're at that year. Do you think, Sarah, that's what we're kind of getting at?
I think so. And this is where the strategy really comes into play. And so you're welcome, obviously, to do a follow-up with Dana or Nick. There's another question. I'm 75. Would this deferred plan be for me? Can you make contributions if you're 75 and still employed here at the county?
As long as you're still employed, you can make contributions.
Yeah. But they would have some minimum distribution requirements they'd have to meet
when they leave the county. So at age 73, you have to take what's called a required minimum distribution. So essentially, It's the government's way of getting tax money. So you have to take out money from your retirement accounts, and this would be for IRAs as well, traditional IRAs, that there's a certain amount based on December 31st of the year prior to turning 73, and then there's a calculation done based on your age that tells you how much you have to take out that year. If you're still working, though, you do not need to take your required minimum distribution until you leave your job.
Good to
But
know.
I would like to, just side note, I'd like to talk to the 75-year-old and figure out the what strategies I need to put in place to keep working when I'm 75, because that sounds pretty awesome.
That is great. Yeah. So this is a question going back to that for the Roth 457, is the 59.5 5-year rule, is that a Hennepin County rule, or is that all investments?
It's an IRS rule.
Specifically for 457Bs, right? Yeah. I don't think
Yes.
that rule necessarily applies to 401ks, or I forget what the, there's a few other similar similar type of programs, but the 59.5 / 5-year rule is specific to the 457B plan. Yeah, by IRS. Let's see, just a comment. I don't need the money, but I don't want to pay higher taxes either. Okay. When you retire, can you roll your 457B contributions to another plan without fees if you wanted to?
Yes. So then
Okay.
we can I'll give you the summarized version of the legal disclosure that you will receive at that point. Is you can leave the money where it is, you can cash it out, you can roll it into another IRA, or if you're employed somewhere else, you could roll it into that employer-sponsored plan.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's your money. You can do, according to the IRS guidelines, you can do what with what you want. Typically, there's no fees. There's no fees on Voya's end if you were to roll it somewhere. If you're working with someone else, there may be a fee attached to it, depending on that specific advisor or brokerage, what their fees are.
Okay, but no Voya
Yep.
fees.
No
Okay.
Voya fees.
Let's see here. So we've got a gal, she started a year ago, but she hasn't logged into her account for a while. She just put a screenshot. Which login would she pick? Oh my goodness, there's a lot. She put a screenshot. If you have a minute, take a peek at chat. From Emma, she put a screenshot with a lot of choices. Health accounts, direct bill.
So it looks like you would want to go to, I don't know if this is where you're at, but you'd want to go to Voya Retirement Plans with an S.com, and then there should be one login.
Okay.
That helps.
VoyaRetirementPlans.com. All right, I'm just going to throw that
Yes.
in the chat again. Okay, give that a shot, Emma, and if it doesn't work, let us know. Looks like, a lot more questions have come in since we started chatting now. So Nick and Dana are specific for Voya 457B plans. If you've got an account with like MSRS or Fidelity, you would want to work with them specifically. Yep. So let's see here. Are we able to roll over? We talked about rollovers. You can do the rollovers. There's a question. Do you still get taxed 20% even at retirement age?
Yes. So you would get taxed at 20% for taking a pre-tax withdrawal. The only caveat to that is when you're taking that required minimum distribution that I was talking about at age 73, then they tax it at 10%. You can choose to increase that if you'd like to, or choose not to have any federal tax withheld for a required minimum distribution, but you have to pay it at some point. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's a pre-tax tax, but it's not to be clear, it's not a penalty tax. That's just your standard federal income tax that you would owe based on pre-tax investments. So even if you're retirement age, you are still responsible for paying taxes on your pre-tax contributions. If you have a Roth contribution, you're taking money out of that wouldn't be subject to that 20% federal income tax. Okay. Are there other 457 fees in addition to the 0.5%, the 0.5% managed account annual fee. So let's talk about fees for a minute here. I know there's an annual fee for the managed account, and then there potentially are additional, I'll let you guys talk about it, but fees with built into the funds at all, the investment options?
Nick, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so there's an admin fee, and that we just reduced it. I don't have that fee in front of me, but that's basically your annual record keeping fee, which Hennepin County
0.11.
0.11. Okay. It just went down. So Hennepin County, your employer, thankfully does a very good job of negotiating. And they have negotiated a very low fee. And that just covers the costs of Voya to administer the 401k, 457B plan. Each individual fund will have some, very minimal fee attached to it. Again, you have several thousand other fellow employees that are pooling their resources together, which then helps reduce the fees. So those will be the two fees you'll see. If you do choose the Morningstar route and do a managed account, there's an additional fee to that as well. But that's very few people do that.
Yeah, and I would say I think that's where that 0.5 number came from. I think that's the Morningstar. So there's an option to have a program called Morningstar Manage Your Event or your event, your account, instead of Nick or I helping you. And it's a little more automated. You answer questions and they'll move around your funds for you without you having to really do anything. But for that, there's an added fee of 0.5, but you have to sign up to be in that. But yeah, with the fund fees too, I would say the average, it's called a gross expense ratio. And I'd say the average person who is invested in multiple funds would probably have an average gross expense ratio between 0.5 and 0.8. That can vary, but that's what we see with most people. So you add that to the 0.1. So you'd have, a fee of 0.6 to 0.9 essentially for your total fees. There's some, if you choose to be in an index fund or something like that, that's lower, but we can talk about that.
And with the targeted accounts based on the year of retirement, would that be the 0.5?
Those target date funds. So those, no, those are not managed accounts. So those are just, so this would be like a totally separate, if you do, it's called like Morningstar by Voya. Yeah, so it'd be totally separate.
Yeah, I was just going to tack on to what Nick and Dana just said. We do have just some new negotiated rates with Voya. I was just pulling it up here. The annual service fee, we actually are reducing it. Voya's reducing their fees 24%. So we're going from 14.5 basis points down to 11 basis points, which are effective the beginning of April. So really great news in terms of overall fees are going down, which is rare to hear, right? So that's great. Let's see here. Let's get back. I just want to make sure. How can you tell? So if I'm currently in a 457B and I just signed up and I wasn't super mindful about pre-tax traditional versus Roth, how do I know which one I'm making contributions to? How can I check?
You could give us a call and we could check your account for you, or as you previously mentioned, you could log into Apex and see if it's after tax or pre-tax.
Yeah, so when you're in Apex, it'll tell you, it'll be really clear if you're making pre-tax or Roth contributions. You should also, Nick, I think, be able to log into your Voya account online, and it would say like in the account name, wouldn't it, if it's Roth or?
Yeah, on Voya, on your Voya account access, it differentiates Roth in pre-tax.
Yeah. Yeah, and another good point to make is you don't have to do all one or the other. You can do a mix, a combination. If you really are wanting, it's hard to predict where you'll be in the future and you want to kind of do a little bit of traditional pre-tax and some Roth after tax, you can make contributions to both if that fits with your investment strategy. Lynn put in here too, we have a few people on our Hennepin County retirement team who are happy to assist people who have questions also, if that is a choice for you. So that's in the chat, their contact information. Does the county retirement plan allow for after-tax? Okay, we just talked. Oh, so here's a good question. So there's pre-tax, traditional 457B contributions. There's Roth after-tax contributions. But do we allow not Roth, but just regular after-tax contributions?
No.
The intention is to increase beyond the maximum contribution amount. So they want to put in more than the IRS limit. So they just want to do after tax versus Roth.
You could just do a Roth IRA, so you'd have, a Roth IRA on the side, so you can contribute to that as well. Yeah,
it sounds like they're thinking about opportunities there, but no, I think the answer is no. We don't do just plain straight.
Yeah, short answer is no. Long answer, like Dana said, if you have other investments or other money to invest, we do have people on our team included as part of your benefit that are certified financial planners, and they can we'll take you through a financial plan at no out-of-pocket cost to you, and they could help you find somewhere to put that money.
Awesome, good. Is there a difference in what happens if you were to die before you withdraw the money in your account? What happens to the money in your account, and does it vary based on traditional or Roth?
So you would designate beneficiaries when you open your account, and you can change those beneficiaries at any time. And then when you died, your money would go to your beneficiaries, and they have many options available to them on what they choose to do with it. So I saw there was a question about, is the Roth inheritable? So in this case, the Roth 457 is treated very similarly to the pre-tax in that even when you reach age 73 for your required minimum distribution, you would have to take a required minimum distribution from the combined of your pre-tax and Roth 457Bs. So we recommend to a lot of people that when you do retire, to roll your Roth 457B into a Roth IRA. At that point, you never need to touch the Roth money, and it can be left to your beneficiaries. Like I said, it will be in here as well, but you never need to touch it if it's in a Roth IRA. So that's another good option.
That's good advice. Here's a comment, Rita. She doesn't want to pay taxes on her future 457 withdrawals. If that's the case, she should do everything Roth then, right? If she doesn't want to pay any taxes in the future on her 457.
Yeah.
Yep. So Rita, you would want to put it in as a Roth if you just, today that you don't want to pay taxes in the future on these investments. You're going to want to put that in as a Roth.
I don't want to pay taxes either, Rita.
I don't either. Yeah, and so Emma, we just talked about what happens to your money if you die before you fully use your funds. I think that answered your question, hopefully. So whether you have a traditional or Roth bracket, it matters what tax bracket you're in. Yep, yeah, we talked about that. So your tax bracket at the point when, well, we talked, so the question is whether you have traditional or Roth, it matters what tax bracket you are in at the time of your withdrawals. The traditional, you're going to pay taxes in the future. So it'll be based on your income, your tax bracket in the future. And your Roth, you're paying taxes today. So it's based on your current tax bracket. Barry, I think that hopefully that answers your question. Must I withdraw 457 when I retire, or can I leave that? Yeah, so Jane, you can leave your money in your 457B account after you retire. I would encourage you just to meet with Dana or Nick and talk about you know, where's the best home for it, but it's certainly an option. You could leave it in the account if you want. But they can talk about kind of what are those financial strategies related to your account in retirement. I think I just see a lot of responses. If making contributions to both oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. I just wanted to confirm the dates because I'm scrolling through this chat. It's a lot. May 6th is the day that we can walk in, and the hours again are
9 to noon,
9
right,
to
Dana?
noon. Yeah. Yep. 9 to noon.
Yep. So it'll be May 6th and then count ahead 2 more weeks. May 6th, May 20th, June 3rd, and that'll give you the cadence.
Yeah. And then if you ever, just want to check with us what dates will be there, just, send us an email or give us a call. We'll be happy to confirm that. And we're happy to just come out anytime too. So, we're available.
Yep, and we just have a couple more questions, which is good because we're coming up to time pretty soon. If making contributions to both a pre-tax and a Roth, the IRS maximum applies to your total contribution amount. They're not separate contribution maximums for pre-tax and Roth. It's going to be a combined amount. And then Nick, I know that you had a slide in here about a catch-up contribution maximum. I believe, and let me know if I'm misremembering, but I thought they added a new age tier this year. You have 50 plus a tier for 60 to 63.
I haven't heard of that.
Okay.
Might
We'll
be
circle
for a
back
different
then.
kind, maybe for like some other type of like a health account, I think maybe something in regards to health savings accounts.
Okay, we'll circle back on that one. It could be me thinking of something else. And then Lynn Lynn is our program manager, retirement and savings program manager. She put in a nice little ditty in the chat about our investment committee here at Hennepin County and how some of that decision making with the investment options and the plan choices all work. So I encourage you to take a peek at that. Let's see here. Yep, so the pre-tax and the Roth maximum is $23,500, I think, for 2025. Is there a 500? Yep, 23,500. That's the combined maximum contribution for 50 or under, if you're age 50 or younger. Okay. What is the difference between the 457B Roth and a regular Roth IRA?
So 457B Roth, consider that like you have a bucket, your employer sponsored bucket here. And then a Roth or traditional IRA is a separate bucket unrelated to your employer. And so you could, theoretically, if you income qualify for both, or for a Roth, you could contribute to both. And so there's different limits that are unrelated to each other on those two.
So the 457B Roth, the Roth through the 457B, that's $23,000. If you're under the age of 50, it's $23,500 that you can contribute through Hennepin County. You can participate in the plan through Hennepin County and put that $23,500 in Roth funds through your account here at Hennepin County. If you were interested in a Roth IRA, in addition, that's something that you do independently on your own, not through the county. And they have a separate maximum contribution amount associated with that. So if you're looking at additional investments, you have the opportunity to do both if that is interest to you. Okay, and then Lynn says, yeah, we do have, Lynn and I are both on the same page. We think there's a new contribution maximum of age 60 to 63, a maximum of $34,750. But we'll take that back and connect with you on that one.
Yeah, we'll look into that too. I mean, we learned something in this presentation too, huh?
It snuck in on there last year, I think, but yeah. So I think that gets us through all the questions, but I did put their contact information in the chat. Both their phone numbers, I'll throw their emails out there too. We did record this session, so I will throw this out on the bridge here in the next couple days. And then Nick and Dana, if you just send me the slides, I will share them with all of our participants as well. They would love to see them.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Wonderful.
Thanks
All right.
everyone. And
All
feel
right,
free
thank
to
you
reach out.
everyone for, yep. Thanks for everyone for joining. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.